Hi, Rebecca. Hello from Vancouver, Canada. Me and Mr. Boo Boo will talk a little bit about our perfumes. First, I want to thank you so much for considering looking at my creations. I make everything by hand in my little apartment here in Vancouver, Canada. I make everything by hand. It's a small production, but I love what I do and really appreciate your time. So, okay, so I'll start now with my civet cat. Here's some in here. And the cat, civet cat is made with real animal musk, real civet. And I get this civet paste from a gentleman every year. He's a fellow Canadian. He goes down to Ethiopia every year to get civet paste from farmers down in Africa, and the animals are treated well. So not to worry about the cats. They're not treated badly. And if you haven't had the luxury of smelling real civet, it's quite an amazing smell. It's very body odor. It's a little bit stinky, but it brings a real depth to a perfume. So what civet does is it's like salt in food. It just enhances everything. It's like spices or salt. It just gives more depth and character to the entire perfume. So this, my civet cat, Chypre. I'll start with 3 Chypre. I have my peach, my oak moss, and my civet cat Chypres, 3 Chypres. This one opens up with clary sage and some lavender. So it opens bright. There's even a little bit of rosemary and some menthol top notes to this perfume. And then it begins to dry down pretty quickly. And by the way, there's a lot of bergamot in this. It's quite bright. And you can actually smell the civet from the very first spray. You can smell that civet coming through. You can smell the animal musks. So it's quite the effect. You know, you have the animal musks coming through with the deep orange and the citrus and the clary sage and the lavender. But then as it dries down, you can smell a lot of ylang ylang and jasmine white flowers, quite deep. I use a Jasmine Absolute. It's from India. It's called Jasmine Grandiflorum Absolute. It's a beautiful, thick, resinous material. There's a lot of natural materials in my perfumes. My perfumes are not IFRA compliant, so they do not abide by modern sort of standards. It's not thin. They're not thin perfumes, okay? I go above the threshold. Commercial perfumes nowadays, it's very thin. Anyways, not IFRA compliant. Maybe you know about that. And then as it dries down, you can smell the thick florals. And civet musk always stays through, so citrus down to the florals, down into a little bit of gardenia and a little bit of rose. And as it dries down, after an hour, the perfume starts to become a little bit powdery because I have a musk ketone in here, a very powdery musk from the 1920s that's no longer used in commercial perfumery. There is 2 other animal musks in this, but it's kind of my secret. I have ambergris in this as well, and then some cinnamon, and I'm just looking down at my notes, and I have at the bottom of this perfume something called the Aimbreen Accord, which is a lot of labdanum, a lot of benzoin, a lot of sandalwood, and also some powdery elements. So This perfume, it opens bright and citrusy, but you always have the animal musk, the civet through it. Begins to dry down, goes down from bergamot to clary sage, down to lavender, and then the ylang ylang, jasmine, gardenia, rose comes through. It begins to become more powdery, and finally at the end you get a powdery, warm, malty, benzoin, resinous, and of course oak moss, real oak moss in this, because all of my perfumes are inspired by vintage 1920s perfumes. I have a couple influences, 3 major influences in my perfumery. Vintage French Chypre, okay, Chypre perfumes. Number 2, it's vintage Floriental, spicy florals and woods. And number 3, it's Indian or Eastern attars, or traditionally made Indian scents. All of these 3 things are very, very thick, resinous, deep. All of my perfumes are perfectly unisex. All of my perfumes have at least one flower, at least one rose, at least one kind of spice in it. They're very well blended and rather dimensional to them. So I hope you enjoy your Civet Cat Chypre. Next, I guess I'll talk about Madeleine Peach. I'll send you another video with Madeleine Peach. I hope I'm not bugging you too much with these videos. I hope they're informative and helpful to you. And if you introduce my perfumes to your lovely audience, I hope that they find this informative as well. So, okay, I'll connect this and send this by email to you right now. Bye-bye.